Wishing you all a wonderful good morning from London. I'm here, it is afternoon, and it is evening time in India. It is, I think, late in the evening in Australia. So we have people from three time centers: London, India, and Australia. I'm standing in for a short while now till our friend Archana joins us. Archana will be joining us shortly. Till such time, I'll be anchoring the show for you. The subject today is the art of warfare, and there was a book that was recommended. So, people who have read the book or people who would like to uh, say something about the art of warfare can start. You can speak, you can unmute, you can, before you unmute, put up your hand so that we will ask you to speak and then you can speak. Let's understand the history of warfare. It has been there for a very, very long time. Since man came into being, there has been war. So if you look into the Puranas, there is war between Asura and Devas. Okay, and then when you go into a little into time, from Treta Yuga, there was again a war between Ram and Ravan. You come to Dwapara Yuga, again there is war. You come to Kali Yuga, there is war over war. Okay, you come to the time from history of bargain, so there have been invasions, there have been wars. You go to before, even before, even if you go to BC, there have been wars. After that, wars, wars continue even today. So we are trying to see the strategy of war. We are not trying to sit on the right or wrong of the war. If you have access to the strategy of war or what the book on war says, and according to our Vedic Dharma, there is Dharma Yuddha, which is definitely even a recommended. So when violence is getting too much and when adharma prevails, so Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanena bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I come forth to end this adharma. So there is also a dharma yuddha. So this is a subject matter. People are free to say what they have to say. Okay, hands up and you can start. Who would like to speak first? You're free to share ideas. Only thing we'll keep in mind, let's not get into any kind of international politics and things like that. And even if there are any references to international politics and things like that, from the Seniors Today platform, I would request you, you say, I have read from this source. I understand from this source. Because it is very important that we don't quote opinions and things like that without referring the authenticity of it. So when it comes to international things, then say I read in the newspaper, I read in such and such a newspaper. So what happens is at least the authenticity is assured. Let's not say things about which we don't have authentic information. Okay, the floor is yours. Who's going to start? Anyone can start. Yes, Rajiv. I will ask you. I will request you to unmute
Yeah.
and.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rajiv. Yes.
Yeah. What I understood generally from the book is that in a war, more than anything, one has to do a lot of planning.
Hmm.
There should be a strategy, and you should know your own strength and weaknesses, and also the strength and weaknesses of your opponents. You should have the art of deception. In fact, it is some kind of an art. It's not even the straightforward thing like you have more arms so you will win. It's not like that. You
Hmm.
have to be very flexible. Depending on each situational change, you have to change your plans. So what I could take from this is that it's not only in war, even if you are running a company and you are having competitors, you have to fight for each day. When the competitors are using different techniques, you should know what are they using, what are the new changes that's happening, and accordingly you have to be flexible to survive in the market and go ahead.
Hmm.
So these are my few the things
Wonderful.
what I got.
Thank you very much. Why compare? Why in a market alone? Suppose you are working in a large corporation and you are competing for some positions.
Yes, yes, yes.
You should be should be not have strategy.
True,
There
true.
is a there is a saying in corporate strategy, especially among employees: don't go too close to the bosses, then they will burn you.
Uh, but you have
Then
to
go
be
don't go too far because then you will die of cold. So it is like fire. You have to learn what distances to maintain.
correct.
Good, good point, Rajiv. Good point. Any stories that you have read or you have heard which you think you can share with us at this point?
And no, actually, I thought I will just restrict myself to this part of it rather than
Okay, fine, fine.
the real
As it
war
goes
and
on, if there are
everything.
something that comes to your mind and if you want to
Yeah.
share, you're welcome.
Okay, I'll certainly add it.
Wonderful. Yeah. Any other person? Let's start. Put up your hand and you can start. Baji has left. He'll possibly come back. Sarojji, yes. Saroj was up. You can unmute. I will ask you this. You will be asked to unmute. You can unmute and start. Wait a minute. Please unmute.
I
Yeah.
said I haven't read the book anyway, but I would just the summary kind of like because I didn't find it very interesting. So that's why I didn't try to complete the book. But what I feel that it says that you should know the strength and the weakness of the opposite competitor, opposite person, your enemy, should say. And if you know their weaknesses, you can proceed like in preparation for that. But if you're powerful, if you know you are powerful than the enemy, then you can put forward your weaknesses just to lure the enemy to initiate
Mm,
the war. And then you can show your
mm,
prowess.
mm,
Sometimes, even if you're strong, then you have to either attack or wait for the enemy. But if
mm,
you wait for the enemy, then you don't get a chance to think over and strategize your plan. But if
mm,
you think you're strong, then you put your foot forward and act. So the enemy doesn't get time to think over and strategize.
mm,
Hmm. So that's the war plan, it keeps changing and depends from situation to situation and people to people. And it says that if the war is prolonged for quite long times, like in this today's situation, the Ukraine and Russia war, when the war prolongs for quite some time, then to sing, he says that the your weapons may lose their sharpness.
mhm,
He says if the war takes long time, then your weapons lose their sharpness.
mm,
That's what he said. I don't know what he means. Today the time
mm.
of missiles and drones and all that, which you don't consider. I don't think that applies to this kind of a war.
What
No,
does
even
that
the
mean?
morale of the people will go down. No,
Yeah.
the morale,
Uh,
everything will go down.
yeah,
So,
morale goes down. Morale goes down.
how to
Ultimate,
keep your people keep their morale up? All this is part of the leadership that he's talking.
Yeah, yeah.
ultimately, what are the two types of weapons used?
Mohanji, your voice is not very clear. It's
Okay. Ultimately, what are the two types of weapons used? In Sanskrit, we'll call it astra and shastra.
Yeah.
Shastra is held in your hand.
hmm.
Okay. Astra is missile thrown. There are only two types of instruments, weapons. And once the opponents know what are your astra shastra, your weapons have already lost their edge because they will have counter strategy. See, when when the invading army came into India, uh, initially they used artillery. They had cannons, which could throw cannonballs. So once they found a counter to the cannonballs have lost their power. From the Indian side, they say, they had elephants. Invading armies were so scared of elephants. They said, oh my God, huge ones making that noise. Horses got scared. So there was one particular invader who countered it. No, he put some camels in the front and set their back on fire. So when the camels started running towards the elephants with flaming backs, the elephants started running back,
Mm.
killing their own people. So over a prolonged time, when the strategy is known, people naturally lose the weapons lose their sharpness.
Mm.
Are you able to recall any war from history where you find some strategies used and things like that? Just out of studies, even I know none of us has ever fought a war.
No, I think when you're speaking away from the mic, we are not able to
Oh,
hear you well. Yeah.
yeah, possibly. I'll keep it closer to me. Yeah. Now is it okay?
Hi, now it's okay.
Suddenly, I had a feeling that because I was speaking from London, the voice is sounding so feeble.
It can't be when it is so strong from Australia. It can't be weak from London.
Yeah. So any stories you have read or from history, you can quote something which will be of interest from
No,
what
what,
we have
what
read.
you what you said just now, that surprise element is very important.
Yes.
Like you said, you brought the horses. Similarly, we have heard in that, whether it's history or something, where they hid inside the leg of a.
Trojan War. Yes.
No.
Trojan War.
So,
The
so
army
you're
hid
not
inside the
expecting that.
horses. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And
So
they dragged
that
it
that is
inside
that
and they came out at night and set fire. Yes, the Trojan War. Correct.
mm,
And from the Trojan War comes the thing. There are certain viruses called Trojans because they look like something, they do more damage than others.
mm.
So the expression Trojan has come from that. It looks harmless from outside, but is full of harm from inside. Rashmiji,
It
you would like
says
to say
that
something.
best wars are which are not fought. They are the wars won. The book
Waiting to
says
be fought. Yeah, waiting to be fought, but never fought.
fought. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think Modi wants to do. Not fighting, not taking any action at the moment.
Keep
So
flexing
much
your
is
muscles.
happening.
Good enough.
Yeah,
I remember seeing a Satyajit Ray movie. It is called Gupi Gain Baga Bain. You should see that movie. So a neighboring
Bengali.
kingdom, it's a Bengali movie, Gupi Gain Baga Bain. You can see it with the English subtitles. You should see that movie. See, there is a war. Invaders come from across the border, and this king is under threat. This Gupi and Baga are two ordinary fellows who have some great vara, boons. The boon is they can sing. They also have two plates in which they can call any amount of food. And the third thing, they have magic chappals. They can go anywhere they like. So Gupi and Baga tell the king, please send us to the war field, but don't send anybody else. We will win the war for you. The king says, if you don't win the war, I'll cut your head. He says that won't be necessary because the enemies will cut our head first. So Gupi and Baga go to the battlefield. They start singing first, and after finishing singing, after entertaining, gives them a lot of food. The fellows eat and go away. It's a wonderful story. So, in a way, what is okay? Let's look at this. Why is a war fought? What is the purpose of a war? What are they looking for?
They want to show their power, their strength, or they want to acquire the land. That's the
Land.
main thing. Land.
Wars have been fought for only two things, for land or for Nari, for nothing else. Nobody has ever fought in principle for anything. Either it is a land, like Helen of Troy, they fought for Helen of Troy. Ravana fought for Sita. Mahabharata was fought for land. Who has ever fought for preserving music, preserving Vedas? Yeah, our hostess Archana is here. Archana will take over from now, and I'll be listening for some time. Towards the end of the thing, I'll share some thoughts with you. Yeah, Archana, please take over. I would like to share some instance from actual war situations. So we will see how the strategy works and how these are important. It is not numerical strength, but it's strategy which is important in winning a war. It is not just numerical strength. Yeah, over to you, Archana. Okay, in the meantime, anybody else would like to share? Anybody? Raya, Saroji, if you want, you can continue. Share some thoughts.
It is said that everything is fair in love and war,
Hmm,
which Lord Krishna has shown very well in Kurukshetra
hmm, hmm,
war. Yeah, Mahabharata. There are so many incidents where by uh, he has fought uh, unlawfully.
hmm. Okay,
Mm.
I would like to. I mean, what happens is if you see what Krishna said in each of these situations,
Yeah.
the first thing is downfall of Bhishma. If you look at the Mahabharata war, the downfall of Bhishma. Bhishma is such a powerful warrior, you cannot defeat him at all. So Krishna says, when somebody who is such a powerful warrior has fighting for adharma, you cannot fight him only using dharmic methods. So when the opposite fellow is for not following dharma, it will be foolish on your part to follow dharma. So Bhishma is such a scholar, such a Vedic knowledgeable person, and he is following adharma. So from your side, it is silly to follow dharma. So follow adharma. What is the adharma? Go play on his weakness. His weaknesses he will not like. So go ask Bhishma how to defeat him. And Bhishma says, you can defeat me when my hands are not holding any astra. Then you can defeat me. Then Krishna says the only way he will not hold astra is when a non-Kshatriya is countering him or a woman is countering him. Say he puts Shikhandi, a transgender, in front of him. So he puts the arms down because a fellow who is
Mm.
otherwise very powerful, who is fighting for adharma, you have to sometimes bend the law. Same thing with Karna. Such a powerful warrior, when he got a chance, when it comes to killing Abhimanyu, he broke all laws. But when he is in trouble, he says, remember, remember dharma. You can't have two standards. That is exactly the thing. How can you have two standards? You can't
Also,
have
when
different.
the wheel of the chariot comes out and he's changing the wheel of the chariot.
Yeah, that's why I say. He says, you're not supposed
And
to kill me. He said, perfectly all right. I understand your logic. But when you were in such a situation, did you follow it?
mm,
Did you follow that? No. When it comes to Abhimanyu's turn, you didn't follow all that law. So why are you quoting? It's like the devil quoting scriptures.
So everything is fair in love and war. That motto is there
Meaning,
on my.
that
see,
is
we
what I
cannot have
thought.
a single line. You see, if you look at Mahabharata and some of the prediction and then some of the statements there, Krishna says in Hindi, I have to use Hindi here. He said ये धर्म जो है इतनी बारीक है, इसे समझना बहुत मुश्किल है. और ये धर्म के मामले में unless the person is an enlightened person, you cannot interpret dharma. Abhi, let's take a simple thing. Let's take a simple war. Now, Ukraine, Russia, who is right? Why are they fighting?
Oh, simply.
Is it simply? Russia wants control over Ukraine's oil wells.
In modern times, the ego is also coming in a big way. It is
It
not
is
just
always
the
been,
land
it's
and this thing.
always been, ego
The
has
the
always been there.
individual ego of maybe one person can
Yeah, definitely.
create so much of problems for
One,
so many
one,
people.
one madman can create a destruction of the earth today. See, let us look at her. I mean, we are not standing. I'm quoting from what I've read in the papers. Okay. There is one treaty called Non-Proliferation Treaty. It means you are not supposed to build nuclear weapons. In India, there was a prime minister. He asked those people, they said, please sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. He asked only one question. He said, the four nations who are telling us to sign Non-Proliferation Treaty, all four of you have nuclear weapons. So, according to your logic, I will have the weapon, but you are not supposed to have the weapon. He said, what kind of logic is this? He said, let all of us destroy nuclear weapons and let's take a vow that we will not make nuclear weapons and then sign the treaty. So then they said, we will not supply uranium to India and that's it. That is the problem. There are four superpowers. Who will decide what is right for you and me? When India, suppose there's a war and we defend ourselves, say India is the aggressor. But is that so? But if you had read the book, you would have talked about preparation, you would have talked about formation. What is very important in a war? There is a very famous statement. An army moves on its stomach. Imagine you are 1 lakh warriors fighting for you. Every day you have to have 1 lakh breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Isn't it? So the kitchen has to move with you. And if you are invading a terrain which you don't know, North India invading someone, all I have to do is to add, you're coming to Andhra, all I have to do is to add mirchi in the food, you're finished. So, those are the strategies which have been beautifully discussed in that book. Very, very beautifully. Rashmi, you would like to share something?
Actually, the book becomes interesting afterwards. The initial few pages, no, you
Oh
just
boy.
can't,
Yeah.
understand, I don't remember to say or say to what, these, their names and
Mm.
mean by the time you come to the actual points, you're fed up.
There's one more saying, unless the loser learns to write his own story, all stories will be seen only from the eyes of the victor.
Hmm.
The loser should also learn to tell his story. मैं हार गया भाई, but at least I should be able to tell my story. Why did the Rajputs lose so often to the Mughals, to the invading Muslim armies?
They were fighting amongst themselves most of the time.
First thing, yeah, first among themselves. Second point, see, the Muslim forces which came across the border, they were coming from plains. Mongolia, Central Asia, Persia, they were all plain land. And in plain land, they are very powerful. You counter plain land from your plain land with a small army, they will surround you and kill you. It is like trying to play in Australia with Indian fast bowlers. Those days. Now Indian fast bowlers have become very good. Why was Marathas always successful? They never
Because
fought from plain lands. They
they
never
were
fought from
Yeah. Mouse
Gorilla
of the
was there.
mountains.
Yeah, they sat on the trees and mountains and threw rocks on you. You didn't know where the coconut was going to come from. That's why the Marathas never lost the war.
Shivaji is known for his
Guerrilla
mountain mouse
tactics.
of the mount
Yeah,
mouse of the mountains.
yeah. He was called the mouse. They didn't know where he was hiding. There were 10 Shivaji. There were 10 fellows looking like Shivaji.
Yeah.
And it was very easy to defeat all the South Indian groups because they were never one united army. Telugu speaking, Tamil speaking, Malayalam speaking, no trust among themselves. Very easy to defeat. So that was a problem in the south. Bengal also same problem. I come from Bengal. It was very easy to defeat Bengal. And they always say no, divide and rule. Nobody divided and ruled. They exploited the existing division. There were existing divisions. They just exploited. उसमें यार नमक मिर्ची डाल के और बड़ा बना दिया. Rashmi, you want to share something? Bengal history के बारे में. We are both from Bengal. In fact,
मैं
I've
वो
taken a lot of
लर्निंग
interesting
नाउ
steps. हाँ,
अभी सीख रही हूँ बुक रीडिंग्स वगैरह का। ऐसा कभी पढ़ने का भी मौका नहीं मिला, और अभी कुछ कुछ है
हाँ,
जो मेरे को लगता है कि प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड की बहुत वैल्यू है, कि इमीडिएटली आप क्या कर रहे हो उसके ऊपर आप डिसाइड करते हो,
हम्म,
and what is in your mind that is not being out in your behavior, that because of the my personal experience, and अभी भी चल रहा है जो कि बंगाल में, उसके से भी यही पता चलता है कि स्ट्रैटेजी जो है वो डिस्क्लोज नहीं होनी चाहिए।
हम्म,
फेशियल एक्सप्रेशंस एक होता है, अंदर और कुछ हो रहा होता है।
हम्म,
एंड जो पुरानी जो मैंने मूवीज के हिसाब से देखे उसमें कि छुप के जो स्ट्रेटजी बनती है, दैट वे, दैट इज ऑल्सो अ वे जो एडुकेशन के साथ आती है। तो अभी थोड़ा सा कल मैंने एक जन का ये किया है कि इफ यू वांट टू रीड अ बुक, ही इज एन आईएएस, उनको फॉलो करती हो, कि यू फर्स्ट रीड द समरी ऑफ द बुक। तो आज मैंने वो कल देखा था बोल के आज मैंने समरी को देखना शुरू किया। एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम, अ पर्सन इज रीडिंग अ बुक, those who is writing a book, it takes years to write, एंड उनकी जो पूरा एक इंसान की वो उसको समझने के लिए, इट इज नॉट इजी टू रीड सो मच ऑफ बुक्स। सो इफ वी रीड बुक्स थ्रू द समरी, विल गेट अ लिटिल आइडिया क्या पसंद है नहीं पसंद है, उसके
yeah,
हिसाब से we can read more books.
correct, correct.
So
In fact, I
today
read
I
the
had
summary first.
explored myself on that, for that book also. I was just going through the summary of that. तो उसमें जो अभी राजीव जी ने बोला, सरोज मैम ने बोला, दैट वाज देयर ऑल। बट यस, यू सेड खाने वाली बात, दैट इज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड एवरीथिंग बिकॉज कहाँ छुप के भी कभी वार करते हैं, तो दैट इज आल्सो, दैट कम्स along on the strategy and all, and discipline also. One has to follow the commander's order and all. That also is very important, कि आपने कमांडो का जो भी आपका जो सीनियर है उसको आप यदि फॉलो करते हो, एंड एबिलिटी उसके ऊपर बिलीव करते हो। एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू सरोज मैम, एंड जो चाणक्य की नीति जो मोदी के लिए बोल रहे थे कि आप क्या कर रहे हो वो सिर्फ आपको पता होते हैं, लोग उतनी दूर सोचने के पहले मतलब अंडर एस्टिमेट करते हैं कि ये हो सकते हैं वो हो सकते हैं, बट इट इज not easy to judge that person. That's what is required for the war and all. सुनो सबको, लेकिन जो डिसीजन आपके दिमाग ने लिया हुआ है उसको स्ट्रेटेजिकली फॉलो करो। एंड इट इज अ वेरी शॉकिंग, यो यूक्रेन और रशिया, कभी किसी ने सोचा नहीं था कि यूक्रेन इतने दिन वॉर के लिए करेगा, फिर रहेगा, वो लड़ रहा है। एंड वो बोल्डनेस इज स्टिल द सेम। इतना लॉस, इतना सब कुछ के बाद भी द चेहरे पर कुछ नहीं दिखता है। इज देयर इन फ्रंट ऑफ द टीवी, इन फ्रंट ऑफ द पीपल ऑफ द कंट्री, की वो एक
He has
कॉन्फिडेंस।
been supported by America.
हाँ,
अभी
आई नो
तक
दैट,
अमेरिका सब
बट यू नो, अंदर से नहीं टूटने देना, दैट इज अ बिग स्ट्रेंथ। आप अंदर से जितने डरे हुए हो, लेकिन आपकी शक्ल जो है ना, उससे आपको अपने जो भी साथ सपोर्टर्स हैं, अपनी टीम है, उनको जो संभाल के लेके जाना, इट इज नॉट इजी, इट इज वेरी
It's not easy.
डिफिकल्ट।
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
दैट्स व्हाट इट्स, अभी तक मैं सीख रही हूँ, क्योंकि
Hmm.
यहाँ आने के बाद मेरी कोशिश चालू है, थोड़ा 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 कुछ पढ़ना।
Hmm.
और सबने इतना पढ़ा हुआ है कि कुछ तो मिलता है। दैट्स
Hmm.
द बेस्ट पार्ट।
Because if you see about war strategies,
या
if you see, I mean, the war strategy has to be seen when what has happened. Jahan the leader is all powerful and everybody explicitly, implicitly obeys him, we have what is called arrowhead formation.
ओके।
Leader in the front, उसके पीछे सब, आओ मेरे पीछे. Okay, where you have the leader not actually fighting but actually asking people to fight, you have a chakra formation. Center mein leader passing orders at all ends. So there your leadership in a higher position and passing orders all around. So yeah, strategy, if you see, the entire Mahabharat war was fought from central position.
या
Whereas Ramayana war was fought in arrowhead position. Ram said, मेरे पीछे आओ सब, आपको सोचना नहीं है, आपको मेरे साथ लड़ना है. Arrowhead formation. That was, these are certain things one we can understand from strategies. I'll share with you a couple of stories,
यस
real
प्लीज।
life stories, which happened and which I picked up from the books of people who have actually fought those wars. See, in India, Western Front, we had war with Pakistan in 65, uske pehle bhi, and in 71. 3 wars we fought with Pakistan. And at that point of time, with our neighbor, we had a war. See, there are two areas in India. One is called Poonch, the other is called Chamb. Two sectors, which are considered weak sectors because there the invading army is on the higher platform and the defending army is on the lower platform. So anybody on the higher position can attack strongly than the position in the lower position. So the Indian जो कमांडिंग ऑफिसर होता है वेस्टर्न जोन का, वेस्टर्न सेक्टर का, there was a person who did a very good strategy. He said keep the withdrawing. वो अटैक करता है, कंसीड ग्राउंड, पीछे जाते रहो, because from high ground he has to come to low ground one day. When he comes to low ground, attack him back. So you found in Chamb and Poonch sector, Indian army always follows a withdraw first and then attack later. अच्छा, इसी का एक एडवर्टाइजमेंट में भी आया था. So enemy is on the other side and this fellow is Indian army is on this side. He said बहुत आसान है उनको मारना. He said कैसे? So he shouts out a name. That fellow pops up and he shoots him. Like that he keeps shooting. So opposite में वो बोलता है कि यार इनका टेक्निक मालूम है. तो from there he said, hey हरी सिंह, कोई उठता नहीं है. तो from हरी सिंह shouts from it, अरे किसने बुलाया मुझको? He hits, puts his head up and said मैंने. तो मारो उसको गोली. It was fun watching that. Meaning, it is constantly evolving strategy. So this was in 71 part. अच्छा, 71 December में ये technique हमने, I mean, when the initial thing started, when the whole thing started in the first, this was the technique followed in the western zone. In the eastern zone, then Bangladesh, what is now Bangladesh, East Pakistan was under severe stress and people were coming to India as refugees. The then Prime Minister called India's Field Marshal at that time and she said, आप invade करो and fight, go there and fight. So India's Field Marshal, जो Mr. General Field Marshal General Manekshaw थे, he said, no, it is not proper to fight now. She said, why? He said, please remember, you are giving me orders to fight Bangladesh in June. जून में वहां बारिश होती है. And eastern zone, eastern part of Bengal, West Bengal, East Bengal में इतनी बारिश होती है कि ordinary rivers become like oceans. Stream becomes like rivers. Our tanks will never be able to reach there. We will all be stuck in the mud and we will be sitting ducks. And that apart, monsoon mein India mein you have to do sowing. I have to move armor, trucks and tanks via all these fields. हमारे entire crop खराब हो जाएंगे. So he said, let us suffer this pain for a few more months. June, July, August, September, October, November. He said, in December, 9 days, I will give you Bangladesh. And the Prime Minister agreed, and rest is history. He waited. The moment rains came down, he attacked. He attacked, and they had to surrender. A real strategy which you saw right now. The strategy of attack. I mean, first weaken the opposition, then attack. So these were real life stories which were used. And the implementation was done by General Officer Commanding of Eastern Zone, Jagjit Singh Arora. Amazing warrior, simply amazing warrior. He was the one who got the whole thing implemented. These are some very important, very beautiful stories which I picked up from recent history. And age-old history mein so to one, the technique of the Marathas using guerrilla warfare. And in history, in Indian history, we have obscured the work of some people from Western zone. There were queens, who keep Portuguese at bay. They had, those are lovely stories. At some point of time, we can have an exclusive story on India's freedom fighters. There is a talk available. आप इसमें जाके देखेंगे तो I have talked about freedom fighters, rare freedom fighters whose name have not featured. उसमें भी आप पढ़ सकती हैं. So these are the two stories which I wanted to share with you. Asha ji wants to share something. Asha Jamkar ji, Rehana Khan ji, would you like to share something? On the book, on history, war strategies, what you have read. Unmute कीजिए please. They would have give you all. हाँ जी. नहीं था अभी अभी तक अनम्यूट नहीं हुआ है. Not able to make you unmute. Unmute. I'm not able to hear you because yeah. Unmute कीजिए. Try unmuting. Yeah. Ab now speak.
Now is it audible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I'm not prepared on this topic right now, so I would like to hear, listen. Actually, over here the entire environment is, of Ganpati. So we are all preoccupied with all that for all 10
Okay.
days.
Okay. If you had made a tour of all the forts, at least one or two fort, if you see rampart bolte hain, where the army, so you will find there are slits on the fort. From the slits you can have a vision. You can put your bow, arrow and shoot from there, or you put your muskets and fire from there. The people remain hidden. They fire from behind those slits. आप देखिए fort में देखिए, you will find that. You can put your muskets from there. One group will put fire, withdraw, while they load, the other group will put. Now the machine guns have come. Artillery used to throw stones so that
Fireballs.
fireballs and things so that the walls
Fire.
can be broken. The women folk also participated in wars because one strategy was go close to the wall, put a ladder and climb. So how to
They
climb
used
the
to
ladder?
throw boiling oil, sir.
All the ladies kept
Boil.
boiling oil ready. Boiling oil, boiling water ready. So chole bhature from the walls you will get.
वो
I have
कोल्हापुर
seen
में
that
है
in
सर वो
Yeah.
कोल्हापुर का फोर्ट है ना, वहां पे है. They
Ah.
tell us the stories of throwing boiling oil.
Women did not go back fighting. Women fought. Okay, and also strategy. When we are talking about strategy, when you're
है
yeah,
Mughals
लखनऊ
and
yeah.
it's true.
Sorry.
लखनऊ में मैंने अभी जब
Yes.
विजिट किया था तो वहां एक फोर्ट में गए थे, तो उसमें उनका जो एक ऐसा बनाया था कि जहां वो रहते हैं उसके बीच में देयर वाज वन वाटर बॉडी, एंड
Hmm.
उस सीढ़ियों से चढ़ के आना पड़ता है, तो उस तरफ से जब भी कोई एनिमी आते थे तो वाटर में रिफ्लेक्शन दिखाई देता था, तब
Ah.
वो यहाँ से उन्हें शूट करते थे.
Yes, 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 yes.
एंड आई हैव सीन दैट.
And these days we have communication, telecommunication, वगैरह. Those days the only communication was pigeons or people who could run across and communicate.
Yes.
They had
And in
secret
somewhere
passages.
the hollow walls were there when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
will say something and that used to react to the other
yeah.
end of that. That was also seen in some of the forts there.
And वो bugle bajana, runners who used to go through forests and inform. And it also came.
वो
जहाँ there were
वो महाभारत का लड़ाई में श्री कृष्ण has blown the conch, saying that अभी रात हो गई, तो they had the
हाँ
rule कि रात को सनसेट के
हाँ
बाद
सनसेट के
वॉर
बाद
नहीं
नहीं लड़ना,
करना.
नहीं नहीं
नहीं
लड़ना,
नहीं.
नहीं लड़ना.
So that was one incident like that.
Yeah, yeah. And वो भी था, people used to run and inform. Runners, they were called runners, they ran and informed if and they had another important thing, कि the king there and the king and the royal family had multiple, I mean they had multiple wives. They married the queens and princesses from the neighboring kingdom, so that the some these can be together and you can have an alliance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Arjun had an alliance. He had an alliance with the Yadavas. He married Subhadra. He had the alliance and he married the Panchali, Draupadi. Then in eastern zone, he married one queen called Chitrangada. And south May he married a queen called Ulupi. So he had four alliances, so that he could have an alliance. Pandu married Madri. Madri was from the original Egypt region.
Oh.
So we had a alliance that part. So we don't know whether she married or how they married and things like that. But the story is to indicate that you need an alliance. And
Yeah.
what is the strategy being followed? India ko charon taraf se surround them by neighbors who are not friendly. Imagine you are living in a Bombay cooperative society. ऊपर नीचे अगल बगल सब आपके, nobody likes you. How would the life be? You can't leave your
Yeah.
keys with somebody. You can't ask somebody to collect your milk packet. इंडिया का वैसा हाल है. Maldives, surrounded by Maldives, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Nobody likes you. आपके कुरियर किसके पास डिलीवर करेगा, वो बोलेगा यूएसए में जाके डिलीवर करो. We don't even know whether such a person lives there. So weakening you through neighbors, so that you have to maintain army everywhere, weakening you. बहुत ऐसे strategies. Good, nice. We had a good time, and maybe week after next again we'll come up with one more edition. Week after next, I should also be returning to India. So in the first week of October, we will resume our music wala.
That's better
Fine,
than this ladai, sir.
fine tune your music. We will season 2 start करेंगे October से.
Yes, sir.
October में
Nothing
start
of this
करेंगे.
war.
Yeah. नहीं, ये होता रहता है. Sometimes अभी क्या है कि sometimes I will discuss with Archana and to find out if there are any other books. छोटे book हो, 125 pages,
Yes.
90 pages.
Yeah.
Like I had recommended, I had recommended Akbar Birbal. आप तेनाली रामा स्टोरीज पढ़ लीजिए, मजा आ जाएगा. तेनाली
We are
रामा,
grown up now, sir. Actually, we should know all the history.
तेनाली
We
रामा
are
पढ़
grown
लीजिए.
up.
See, one
वो
thing,
बच्चे लोग का है.
if you the people who ignore history condemn themselves to repeat history. We should know our history. India's why northern borders were weak. Somebody said, "Na, we were squabbling among ourselves." We were squabbling. when one king was weak, somebody invited a king from Afghanistan. Bola India mein aake aap invade karo. And this continues even today. The fellow goes outside India and bad mouths India.
Yeah.
They takes a lot of
Pappu.
joy in telling that India is useless.
Yeah. Pappu, that's called
Not
Pappu.
only one fellow.
नहीं
Not only
उसका
one
दे
fellow. Many fellows are
उनका
doing it. Many
उनके
fellows are
सर्वाइवल
doing it.
उसी में है
Sadly.
उनका
Sadly,
सर्व हाँ,
sadly, lot of unwanted fellows are doing it.
उनका
And
सर्वाइवल उसी में है उनका
sadly,
या
sadly, this is happening. So let's
या
not talk politics here. You have been doing this. It's not a good thing. Please.
it's not a good
Let
thing.
us let us retain this with books. If you can
हाँ,
do that, sir, Mr. Mohan, sir, that will be very nice. Thank you. Now, if it is over, let's close.
yeah, good. So
ये तो हो
let's
गया
meet
ना?
next.
कुछ
हाँ हो
नहीं.
गया. So we will meet again sometime next week. Thank you very much and have a nice
Bye.
weekend.
Good night, sir.
Bye bye.